Sorry. All right, everyone, good morning. Sorry. All right, everyone, good morning. All right, let's get started here. Um, Firstly, hopefully everyone had a good weekend. And why don't we, oops, sorry, wrong screen. There we go. Okay, so let's start off with our economic data for this week. We have final services PMI coming out at 9:45 a.m. Eastern. ISM services PMI coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern. Factory orders month over month also at that time. So that's it. Not a lot of news today, but ISM services PMI will be a major number at 10 o'clock Eastern. We should expect some significant price movement off of that. I was looking here, just noticed that all the Eurozone data came in worse than expected. Well, almost all of it came in worse than expected. Kind of shows where things are at there. But obviously, the European economy is struggling even more than ours. All right, so let's take a look at what was moving on Friday and see what we got. All right, so on Friday, firstly, looking at the NASDAQ, you can see that there was not any dramatic movement in the NASDAQ index on Friday, mostly neutral. So we would expect that most stocks are probably doing the same thing. And we did have some stocks that did pretty well. One of them was Gilead. Gilead was able to reach target number 2 of 77.70, reaching a high close to $78 a share towards the end of the day. Actually reached target number 2 about 2 hours before the close. We also had Airbnb, which mostly went up, was able to surpass target number 2 of 116.86 to reach a high of 118.45. Next, we had NNOX. And NNOX, we have that reaching target number 2 of 1988 before reaching a high of 2170 to 1.70. Next, we had TCOM, which slowly passed target number 1 of 34.10, reaching a high of 34.56, but not able to reach 34.74, which was target number 2. Affirm, AFRM, only reached target number 1, which was 15.67, reaching a high of 15.88, well short of 16.26, target number 2. Let's see. Lyft had a very volatile day. It looked very similar to the NASDAQ. It actually hit target number 1 to the downside of 926. Then that was it. It never went any farther. In fact, its low was almost exactly that number, and then just traded back and forth, never reaching target number 1 to the upside, however, which is normal. Usually stocks only reach one of those targets on one side, not on both sides. Next, we have PACW, which was able to reach target number 1 of 754 a share. And then after that, it reached a high of 785, which was short of the 808 target number 2. And that's as far as it went. Coinbase was more bearish. It was able to reach target number 1 to the downside of 62.75, but didn't go much farther than that, never reaching 60.39, target number 2. Peloton was a good mover up, was able to reach 844 a share, target number 2, reaching a high of 851 a share. Apple, similar to the NASDAQ, just basically whipped around in the morning. It almost reached target number 2 to the downside of 179.22, but it did not actually hit it. Just chopped around. Tesla actually had a decent day. Tesla was able to reach 215.16, target number 1 to the upside, reaching a high of 217.45. 217.25. Not able to reach 220.17, which was target number 2 to the upside. Then for target number 2 to the downside, we had 59.71 breached by Marvel. Target number 2 to the downside, 59.71. So this was one of the best downtrenders we saw. We also had a big spike in LVTX, which was able to reach $3.79. No targets for that particular stock were really stood out, but it started today at about $2.34 to reach that high of $3.79. So good move there. Riot Blockchain was also highly bearish, able to reach target number 2 to the downside of $11.50 a share, and then it just kind of bounced at that lower level for the rest of the day. NVIDIA was also bearish. NVDA able to reach target number 1 to the downside of 392.96, but never able to go any farther than that. Let's see. Billy was pretty extreme. It was able to reach target number 1, 16.39 to the upside, and then it flipped and went to target number 1 to the downside of 15.49. So that's pretty unusual. That means the stock was very indecisive about where it wanted to go, but there was a lot of trading interest moving it, which was able to make it reach both targets. Targets on both sides, I meant to say, which is very rare. CrowdStrike was mostly a seller. It went down to 153.10, target number 2, and then eventually went even lower. CrowdStrike was able to trade well below 151 a share, almost to 150 a share. All right, UCAR was very bullish at first. It was able to reach 15.29 at the high. Then it turned around and sold off down to the $9 range. So pretty big move still. The stock was trading about $3 a share several days before. If you look at the price history. So there it is. So this is where it started, around $3 a share. Had a good move on the first. Then on the second, not as good of a move. It just went up to about $15, just over $15, and then sold off back to basically where it was towards the close of that previous session. And that's exactly where it's at now. So we'll see if this has another wave up. It may. $6 a share, I believe, is an important price. Since I spent a lot of time around there. All right, and then Lulu was able to reach 385.95 a share, target number 1 to the upside, and then it flipped over and hit target number 1 to the downside of 370.51. Then after hours, it actually hit target number 2, but that was after time we would be trading. Lulu was up off of earnings, had a good earnings report, but then it started to fade after the initial jump. Never got back to where it gapped up from, however. It hasn't gone back down to here, but clearly it slumped a bit, which is normal, but it's still holding its ground for the most part, so I wouldn't say it's bearish. All right, so that's what we had on Friday. Let's take a look at what's moving today. All right, so pretty short list today, so let's just go through them. First up is CJET, CJET. That's trading 2.9 million shares in the pre-market, 51.58% up. So we'll add that to our pre-market radar. All right, next up we've got BVXV. Currently trading up about 33% on 2.9 million shares of volume, so that's definitely worth looking at. So we'll add that to our radar as well. Next up, we've got FRZA, which is up 140% on 11.3 million shares. So definitely adding that to our radar as well. EVAX is next. That was able to reach 41% up, 4.6 million shares traded. So we'll add that. All right, and then one of you just mentioned MMV. Let's take a look at that. Definitely moving. Multi-Metaverse Holdings. That's an interesting name. 3.8 million shares, up about 14%. Sure, active right now. We'll definitely add that to our radar. MMV is a symbol, so we got that. So far, so good. All right. Any other stocks that are any other NASDAQ stocks over $1 per share that you guys see that are trading at least 1 million shares in the pre-market and a price change of at least 6% up or down? If you see any other NASDAQ stocks over $1 per share that are trading at least 1 million shares in the pre-market here and also are have changed in price by at least 6%, positive or negative, let me know in the chat and we'll take a look at it. That's all I see for right now. Excuse me. BLPH. Okay, let's take a look. Down 78%, 1.3 million shares. Sure, that qualifies. All right, so we'll add that to our radar. BLPH. Any others, folks, that you guys see? All right, so I'll wrap up the pre-market pulse then for today. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. That way you always get our updates, and also share us with your friends, anyone that you know who's interested in trading or who actively trades, I should say. For everyone else, I'll see you in the coaching room in about, right now, about 18 minutes. And for those of you who are not familiar with our program and how our coaching room works, be sure to check out fundertrading.com, our website, to learn more about how we fund traders. Other than that, everyone have a great morning. I'll see you guys for the pre-market pulse tomorrow at the same time. Okay, thanks.